When you hear the sound of the bell, you know you're in a championship rounds with King, of Essex. So let's get to it. Little fight week recap of some very interesting things have transpired. Some divisions, they're heating up. They're heating up. Let's talk about one of my favorite divisions, and I talked about it with I guess this was a what do they call it? A changing of the guard. I knew it was going to happen. We haven't heard the retirement announcement yet, but it's impending. Trust me. I don't got any inside sources, but Lauren Price, technical decision win over Jessica McCaskill. Yeah, even though it ended because of the clash of heads, you could see based on the scorecards that Price was running away with it. McCaskill fighting very ugly. Her work was just more clean. The combinations was landing. And once she figured out how to try to time McCaskill, I don't know what Rick Ramos was doing in the corner. Like, yeah, 33 times she held you. Yeah, well, McCaskill, you already ducking your head down and throwing overhand. Cecilia Brækhus was having nightmares of her fight with McCaskill. But the bout was watched by a lot of people, including, the boss of the division, Sandy Ryan. And I don't know, a lot of implications moving forward for Price. Now you got the belt, you got to defend it. This is the hardest part. So you definitely defeated a former champion for the belt. Now let's see what Boxer does to create some legitimate challenges for you. Because in a way, I got one challenger in mind. Because and I don't want to like take away from any shine, but it's like you got the belt. You almost do we have to rush you to a unification? But the prospects of not unifying and this opponent I got for you could be scarier to the unification. Because really, in welterweight division right now, unless you're going into a unification bout, who are they going to match you with, Lauren? A couple of those Argentinians that um Sandy fought along the way, and some of the like those girls are not. I almost have to say Mikaela Mayer, because we often forget about her because of that horrible decision. We know Natasha Jonas perhaps isn't going to grant the rematch. Um, but yeah, Lauren Price and Mikaela Mayer. And then that in of itself kind of creates the whole thing. Like, do we got to match her tough? But I'm sure, I just can imagine um, people will try to avoid Mikaela Mayer. But I mean, in the welterweight division, man, it's foul how she's not being spoken about because she is probably the most dangerous contender, the most dangerous challenger to anybody's titles. So, um, love to hear her name being thrown in the mix. And again, maybe that's a title defense that Price is willing to make, because then that may also establish her as, I mean, yeah, legitimate. You beat the lineal welterweight champion, but a name like Mikaela Mayer, really solidifies you among the greats moving forward right away. So I don't know if we need to see that right away, but we may need to see that fight happen eventually. Also on the weekend, this one was controversial, um, but not so much for me. Other than the confusion, I more or less thought it was just a Steve Harvey moment to where the announcer just misread the names. I know that there was some controversy about the 98, 92 card. I'm talking about Cherneka Sugar Neekz Johnson win over the former champion WBA Bantamweight division champion Nina Hughes. Um, could it just been a case of a former world champion knowing how to score, knowing how to win in a title bout? You know what I'm saying? Like it could have been the case. I mean, Nina Hughes definitely landed probably, it seemed like more punches. I think when they went to the punch stats, they were close. And I think for me, what I saw was Johnson's jab was able to stop any sort of rhythm that Hughes could gather. And once Johnson was even coming forward, now yes, on the way out, Hughes was too short, so she jump in, throw the combinations. But on the way out, she might get caught with a jab, and then the classic 1-2. So if she get caught with the jab and the cross, she's off balance and has to regain it. And there were moments to where she couldn't, and she was just kind of bouncing around trying to throw a combination and get about it, and more or less keeping Johnson off of her. Remember, Johnson's the bigger fighter coming down, so it could have just been something to where, you know, the former champion knew how to win that particular fight. It happens all the time. Um, Not quite Solito Lomo, but what I'm saying is, you know, people that you might think of as a lesser opponent for the fighter you might favor, there's experience that nullifies, you know, what the current champion that might not have the same experience. And that's just what it is. What it also seems to be is that Hughes has reactivated her rematch clause, which is her right. She wants to fight in the UK, not Australia. Maybe that will help her. And it, as far as the judges, there was some issue, I think, with the Japanese judge or the judge from Japan. I'm not really sure. Steve Nakamura, I don't know, but I think there's a more exciting fight on the table. You know, we have to see if the WBA is going to accept a rematch. Johnson, I would love to see Cherneka Johnson and Sharetta Metcalf. That's an exciting fight. Both, I hate to say, pardon the expression, but they both pretty girls in ponytails. I would love to see them fight. Um, Long, the jab is going to be a factor for both fighters. I'm talking about Johnson and Metcalf, right? Combination punching. Both fighters are going to be willing to stand in there, but Metcalf got an uppercut. That to me is a much more intriguing fight, but I do respect the former champion's right to exercise her rematch clause. Maybe somebody will work something into where she can get the winner of that, but who knows? Who knows? Who knows? This is just my conjecture. All right. Last but not least, another controversial, and it didn't have to be controversial decision because I don't think there's any way it was a draw. And I got to start out by saying Erika Cruz Hernandez boxed better than I had ever seen her perform in her entire career. She also looked a hell of a lot leaner. And I don't know if Nazarena Romero was just too excited, like too happy to be there. The expression goes a little bit too jovial, loading up on the right hand. She did not know how to perform under the lights. Um, and I picked her, but without bias, I didn't see her do anything that could win her the title. Like I'm talking about, is certain kind of work you got to do in a championship fight, and waiting to try to see if you can catch her with a power punch and then jump on her. Nah, man, not against this level of competition. Um, yeah, man, yeah. So that's, you know, whatever. Cruz Hernandez, she won that bout, won it like a motherfucker, indisputable. Now. Um, what's next? Unification with Elle Scotney? Maybe. But let's talk about an announcement. Let's get to some news which affects Erika Cruz Hernandez, because Yemelith Mercado will be defending her super bantamweight WBC strap against Ramla Ali. And here's the truth about it. Does Ali deserve a title shot? In her rematch against, you know, the only opponent that's defeated her, she won by outboxing her. Sure. If her opponent was ranked enough to get her that, I kind of see though this is, and by the way, I love that Matchroom respectfully has a monopoly on women's boxing. I got no issue with it, especially with the depth of women fighters fighting in and around the UK, even the Argentinian fighters that travel back and forth, such like the Mexican fighters do in the United States. So, um, but I don't know if I'll, but it's like, hey, give her a shot. 9-1, 1 KO, 2 KO, I don't know, but give her a shot and see if she can handle it. But it almost seems like this is if Ramla Ali can wrest the title from Mercado somehow, like I said, it brings the title more into that UK sphere. So now you're talking about Scotney versus Ramla Ali, and that's a bigger fight in the UK. Because I'm telling you right now, respectfully, no way in hell Ali can beat Cruz Hernandez. Not that version of Cruz Hernandez that I saw, because it will be the pressure and some of the slickness. Dare I say, Erika Cruz Hernandez has an evolved Mexican style. It's not like her nephews, where it's just tuck and bomb. She actually threw a couple jabs, or she came with a overhand left that it kind of reached out like a jab, or she faked the jab and come in with a lead right. So she, she was not the brawler, and she didn't bleed. She's not the brawler that she was known to be. So yeah, I don't think Ramla Ali beats Cruz Hernandez, but um, you know, Mercado, an interesting mix at super bantamweight. So let me move on from there. Let me move on to some more news. What else we got going on? Oh, so I talked about Cecilia Brækhus. I talked about um her view on Jessica McCaskill, but one thing we know about Cecilia Brækhus, not only is she announcing some fight news, she's not going back to 147. So there will be no dream rematches, not that anybody's dreaming of it for Brækhus or for her against anybody at 47. She is staking her claim at 154. And again, she has some an announcement coming soon. Some people think that it's against Emma Cozen. I'm hearing that she is perhaps the mandatory for one of Emma Cozen's belts at 154. We also know Femke Hermans has the IBO and IBF at 154. So Brækhus is trying to crack yet another division and obtain a world title. So we'll see how that turns out for her. Talked about Matchroom having a wonderful monopoly on women's boxing. They just signed Stephanie, La Medicina Pinheiro. She is a 6-0 fighter with 2 KOs. And guess in what division? The welterweight division. Yeah. So interesting real estate for Matchroom. She's based out of Puerto Rico. And I don't know. Again, that's interesting. I want to see, how they market her. Will she be based, fighting out of Puerto Rico? Will she be fighting stateside? Will they try to move her around Orlando? Matchroom's got some residency, if you will, in Arizona. So interesting to see how they develop her as a young welterweight prospect. Also, speaking of signings, Viviana Ruiz, Colombian-born fighter, based out of Australia. She's 8-1 with 4 KOs. She's just signed to Lou DiBella. She's a flyweight. So that should be maybe DiBella. I know he's got the tie-ins with some of the Japanese fighters, so maybe he's gonna take her overseas. But we got some or Mexico, perhaps. I don't think we got too many flyweights stateside. But again, always to see these young fighters get an opportunity to flourish on the main stage. DiBella, he has been able to get his fighters championship opportunity. So salute to her, and stay tuned to see how it turns out. Last but not least, as far as news, we got Serrano and Taylor. That fight will be happening. It slips my mind. I think it's happening in August. I can't even remember. But just a bit on that, Serrano, according to an article in Boxing Scene, she's saying that she is comfortable, a little bit challenged with moving up to 140, but that she's going to be okay with challenging Taylor. And just a little bit to read into it, I thought to myself, I said, yeah, well, Taylor has only been at this. This will only be her 3rd fight, so maybe she's just getting acclimated to 140. So Serrano, on the other hand, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe she'll be closer to what her actual walk around weight is, but I don't like the fact that she's moving up 3 divisions, but I do respect why women's boxing and boxing at large does need this fight. It's going to raise the pay scales for women's boxing and raise the visibility. So again, this is a sacrifice that some fighters, male or female, and this is why women's boxing is boxing, because this is a great sacrifice, moving up 3 divisions, co-feature, co-main, and it is the legitimate bout on the Paul Tyson card. So let me not get into that. But certainly I'm going to be tuned in. I'm rooting for Serrano openly. Katie Taylor, she robbed my girl Chantel Cameron, and she robbed Serrano the first time. This is what I'm saying. Serrano, she on a New York shit. You know what I mean? You took her jewels and she came back to the block. Like, yo, I'm coming back. Y'all motherfuckers ain't run me off the block. So yeah, man, gotta love Amanda Serrano, and respect to Katie Taylor. So we'll see how this one turns out. We actually have as far as to my knowledge, we got no notable action happening this week. But if you see something, say something. All right. And again, feel free to share this, drop a like, give me a thumbs up, blah, 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 blah. Check me out on Twitter, of course, King of Essex 1, also on Instagram. Maybe that's how you found me, maybe not. But wherever you find women's boxing, you're sure to see me lurking or in the forefront. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, your boy is out of here. Until next time, guys. Peace.